it's good to have a break, but for me, that's just my peace. People find peace in golfing, football, going out to the pub. My peace is running. I didn't really have a lot of self-belief back when I first started running. Like I've said, I had a lot of negative thoughts about myself. I didn't really believe that I could do anything. So achieving that, I mean, I've crossed that finish line and I cried my little heart out. I was so unbelievably proud of myself. Stand on that start line, give everyone a bit of a runner's nod and just kind of channel my plan. You know what the runner's nod is.
Runner's nod, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm like, right, everyone's fine. I'm going to put my headphones in and please don't talk to me because I'm really nervous. So I'm Alysia, I'm 25 and I'm from Preston. And now running has completely transformed my life for the better. And I am on a mission to show the magic of what running can do.
Transformed your life for the better. That's a
Yes,
like
it has.
that's a big phrase.
It
Like
is a
that
big
is
statement to make, but
a
it's
massive
true.
statement.
It's very true.
When did it first come into your life then?
So running for me at an early age, it never really did anything for me. I used to look
Okay.
at runners and think, "Oh my God, that is not for me," and I really didn't find it in like anything for me in the slightest. But COVID happened, the gym stopped, and I didn't really know what to do with myself. I don't know if you remember the run for the NHS, the
Yeah,
5K
yeah,
thing
yeah.
on Instagram. So I got nominated. I was like, okay, I might as well try because I work for the NHS as well. So I was like, I'll try it, give it a go. I'm not going to lie, it was the hardest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
But at the end of that run, when I completed it, was this weird sensation that I've never felt before. All these sort of negative thoughts that I had just went. And I think that's what the runner's high was. And I just kind of stuck at it. And eventually that 5K was easy for me. So I thought, oh, like, what about a 7K run? And that got better. And then from then on, running became my thing. My mood lifted, and I found that glow that I've been looking for a very long time. So that's why I love it so much.
It's like mad the amount of people that have that story about the do five, donate five,
Yeah, it's
nominate
crazy.
five. Like the amount of people I've spoken to that have said that was the kind of catalyst for their running journey is unreal, to be fair. It's
It is.
insane.
I think COVID, obviously, it was a really hard time for a lot of people, but for me, it was a blessing in disguise. I mean, before COVID, I had a very negative outlook into life myself, and I had a lot of very unhealthy habits. And because I couldn't really do them unhealthy habits because I was stuck at home, that was a massive blessing in disguise for me because I had a focus to better myself. And by running every day was the best thing for me.
Is that something you still see now? Like talking from a personal point of view, like if I go out for a run in the morning and if I don't go out for a run in the morning, my days are totally different in
Yeah,
terms of productivity, like I guess mental health. Like it's just polar opposite. It's unbelievable what it can do.
it's crazy because I fixate on a lot of things, and in my head, if I've not gone on a run, my whole day is impacted from it. So if I get up out of bed and I know I should go on a run, I need to go on the run because
Yeah.
I will then kick myself all day going, I should have just done it because it's just the mood lift that I get, and then I'm ready for my day. I can get going. So yeah, it has a massive impact on my day to day life.
It's so interesting as well that that thing that everybody says of um, the hardest thing is putting the trainers on and getting out the door. That's
Yeah.
genuinely true, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds really cliche, and a lot of people go, "Oh, like it's cold," but once you actually get out there and do a 2 minute run, you forget about the cold weather, you forget about the rain, you forget how dark it is. I just then focus on what's around me and what I will feel like when I've finished my run.
One thing that Holly Brooks said to me, who's been on the show before, and I know you know as well, Les, was do it for your form, do it for your future self. And I never heard that before, and I really like that, like that sort of that analogy of thinking about doing it for future you. And I know that I am going to feel better when I get back from
Yeah,
that run. I know I'm going to feel better 3 steps out of the door, but it is
exactly.
just that initial like trying to do it is sometimes very difficult.
It is the little wins, though, I think. I always live by a statement going, enjoy the big things, the little things, and everything in between.
Yeah, I
Because
love it.
even putting your trainers on and getting out of bed when it's raining, it's snowing, it's windy, that is a little win for me, because I could easily just roll over and then get up, rush, and go to work. So just either getting out of bed and just getting out there is a little win, but I'll celebrate it throughout my day.
The big things, the little things, and everything in between. You're coming off the
Yeah.
back of a pretty big thing, Liz. A pretty
That, I'm
big
going to
thing.
sign that right now because that is
Yeah,
mine.
I feel like that definitely needs merch. Put
It
it, put it.
does. Do you know
It
what?
needs merch. I'm putting it in the description of
Do you know
this
what? Someone
episode.
sign me right now
That do it,
because that is
do it,
mine.
do it. Um, you've come off a pretty big thing
It
in
is.
the
Yeah.
Valencia Marathon. Like, we're talking what, under a week removed? Like, yeah, a few days off the back of a new PB at Valencia, from running 5, donating 5, nominating
Yeah.
5. After that first run, let's say, if you tell yourself, well, in a couple of years' time, you're going to be running sub 3:30 for a marathon, what would have been your reaction to future lists?
It would have, I don't even think that that would have even filtered in my brain that I would be doing a marathon in Valencia, let alone doing it in sub 30, because I didn't really have a lot of self belief back when I first started running. Like I've said, I had a lot of negative thoughts about myself. I didn't really believe that I could do anything. So achieving that, I mean, I've crossed that finish line and I cried my little heart out. I was so unbelievably proud of myself. And there was other runners crying because I don't know, have you ever done a marathon before?
Yeah, I've done quite a few. It's that you like at the end of a race, it's brutal. It's just
Yeah.
you're just like, I'm gonna cry. This is
Yeah,
it.
you don't even know why. There's so many emotions and all the training behind it, and you think I've just done that for myself. So yeah, it is a phenomenal feeling that I've achieved something that big. Because, like I said, the younger version of myself would never ever dream of doing something that big.
You talk about, before running, having these negative thoughts about yourself. Why was that? Like, why were you that brutal on yourself back then?
I think I'm a person that's always been quite hard on herself. I mean, at an early age, I'm dyslexic, so I found school really,
Yeah,
really difficult.
me too. Me
Um,
too.
it's
Yeah,
hard back in the day, and kids can be quite nasty, and even teachers can. When I was younger, they didn't really understand what dyslexia was. So from an early age, I've always kind of had this hold over myself, like I'm not good enough. So when I was 17, I joined a gym. So anyway, this gym was like a 6 week challenge, and I looked at 17. I was quite overweight at the time. I thought I just want to be like that, and they were ripped, like unbelievably ripped. But as a 17-year-old girl, I'd love to do something like that. Anyway, I failed the challenge. I mean, the diet was horrendous, but I thought that was the only way that I could get to where I needed to be. I failed, and then and again, it was just like, oh, I'm not good at it. I'm just not good at anything. I can't stick to a plan. I can't look that way. So once this running kind of came into my life, and I started achieving these little goals, like running 5K, watching my times kind of drop, I thought, do you know what? I'm actually quite good at this. And then over time, that's when I gained that confidence and a better relationship with myself, the food side of things. Everything just fell into place, all because when I was out on the run, I'd channel a lot of my negative thoughts there, and I'd have arguments with myself. Honestly, you wouldn't want to be in my head on a run, but
yeah.
yeah, it was just a massive shift when I started running, and I just felt a lot more at peace rather than getting stuck in a negative kind of mindset. So yeah, from my younger self, it's I've come a long way.
The dyslexia part of it, which we'll just touch on quickly, just because it's something that, like I said, like I'm dyslexic as well, and like I grew up with it, and it pretty much exactly like you did. I'd imagine like everything just seems that little bit harder, and everyone else
Yeah,
is kind of cracking on, and you're like, why is it harder for me? What I look back on and think about now is like how hard I worked back then. I think has done me actually very well into adult
yeah,
life and in sort of that athletic endeavor as well,
yeah,
because you know what hard work is. And if anybody is out there listening to this and is suffering with dyslexia, or things are hard, like, you'll get through it, the first thing. But
yeah,
the second thing is like the lessons that you learn because of it I think do help
It's
throughout your life.
it's a journey, I think, with dyslexia because as my friends were very, very intelligent, and I just didn't think I was to their standard, but it was just the way I needed to learn. I mean, at exam time, I'd be in a separate room, and I just thought I was really thick because I was kind of like separated from everyone, but it was just to help me. And I've learnt along the way little tactics how I function now. I mean, I stutter all the time and things like that, but that's just part of who I am.
Yeah.
But I own it now, whereas I never owned it in high school. I kind of hid away from this kind of hold over me. But like you said, I think it sets you up for life, um, in both kind of physical and mental sort of states.
You're literally talking my high school career here, Liz. I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest. Like, not like I didn't do languages. Like, had extra time for exams, different room or whatever. And I remember, like, to start with, just being like really not ashamed about it, but like going to uni and then thinking, oh, everybody's going to go and sit in the normal exam hall. I'm going to use a computer or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's just one of those things. Like, you have to deal with it and get through it, and that's like any race, I think, sometimes as well.
I think it makes you have thicker skin. I mean, I remember
Yeah,
this one time in school, and we had this science teacher, and science words for me, being dyslexic, they just go straight
yeah,
over my head.
straight over.
And I asked this lady, I said, please, can you spell this word? And out to the whole entire classroom, she spelled out idiot. And that'll always stay with me forever because I think don't ever kind of put somebody down that's asking for help because that's not the way that someone's going to learn. That's just kind of like my abilities and I'm asking for help. I'm not shying away from it. So I always kind of stand up for people in that area because it's not something to be ashamed of. It's part of who you are, and there's ways around things and ways of learning. I mean, for me, I'm not a practical learner. I'll fixate on something and I'll be really good at it, but I can't do a million things at once. That's just who I am. But I think dyslexia should be spoken about a lot more because, like I said, people do struggle quite a lot with it.
Yeah, definitely. And again, like you say, us just having this conversation now, which I bet
Yeah.
neither of us thought we were going to have
No,
properly
no, no, I know.
before we hit record, is like it's so important for people to hear, and there will be people
Yeah,
out there thinking exactly that.
yeah,
And
of course.
if you do need help with it, you should always ask for help with it as well.
Always.
That's the other thing.
And there's never a stupid question, ever.
Ever, ever.
Never, ever.
Onto Valencia again. Liz, like, talk to me then about the build up to it. When you first decided, like, that was the goal, that was going to be the A race for 2023. When that email first hit your inbox, you're doing it. I know it was an opportunity. You were out there with New Balance as well.
Yeah.
Like, how did that feel, that these things are starting to happen now for you in your running journey?
I think that's when the penny kind of dropped that this is kind of going somewhere. I mean, I
Yeah.
was kind of like sat just chilling on my phone and I got this message through from Pro Direct, a girl that I was working quite closely with, and she was like, "Do you fancy coming out?" And I was like, me, like a girl from Preston going out with New Balance to Valencia. Like I literally like ran down to my stepdad and I was crying. I was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. But yeah, the build up was crazy. I mean, I did have a lot of races in between that period of time, before Valencia, so I kind of had to really come up with a plan quite quickly. That's when Runna was introduced into my day to day life. I'll touch base on Runna in a minute. But yeah, the build up for Valencia was so exciting. I mean, I've never done a marathon abroad before, so there was a lot of planning, a lot of prep. It's not just as though you could set everything out the night before and go. So yeah, it was just a whirlwind of experience that I kind of had to cram into everything. But I think it only started to hit me when I was getting ready to go to the start line. I didn't even think about anything before that time because it was such a big opportunity for me.
What were you thinking about then, that journey to the start? Where was your head at?
I was focused. I do a lot of weird rituals before I go to the start line. I don't like speaking to people. I'm very unsociable. I mean, I'm quite a bubbly person on the outside, but I put my headphones in and I have a bit of a game plan. I make sure that I've drank enough water, hydrated beforehand, and I stand on that start line, give everyone a bit of a runner's nod, and just kind of channel my plan. You know what the runner's nod is. Everyone
Runner's
knows
nod,
what.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
I'm like, right, everyone's fine. I'm going to put my headphones in and please don't talk to me because I'm really nervous. But the one thing I did forget with my marathon, I didn't have like a sheet or a hoodie to put on. I don't know if you've ever seen them before, but it's just like this weird sheet you put over
yeah, yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
So I was stood there freezing. I had my little shorts on, a sports bra, and I was like, I'm gonna lock up. Like I was trying to keep
Freezing.
warm. I was struggling. Yeah, it was awful. But anyway, I just got to the start line, and it's so weird because obviously it was in Valencia. Everything, the tannoids were in Spanish, so all these people around me were celebrating. But I was like, I don't know what I'm celebrating for, but I'll join in. It was just very, very strange. I hyped myself up, and as soon as I heard the gun go, I just kind of hit my pace where I wanted to be and just went for it.
What was the journey to the first start line? Not necessarily Valencia, because I know you've raced a lot before that, but like from doing that first 5K to the first start line, the first race. What was it like standing on the start line of a race rather than, just putting your shoes on and going out for yourself?
Do you know, I remember my first race and it was the Heaton Park half marathon. I kind of sacked all the 10Ks off and just went for a half marathon
That's
race.
sometimes the best thing to do.
Yeah, thought, you know
Just throw
what, why
yourself in.
not? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was January, it was freezing, and I was sat there and I had a bit of a cry. I don't know why, I'm quite an emotional person. I had a bit of a cry in the start line. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to take this. But I looked around and everyone was in their little zone and thought, I'm okay because everyone else is in their little zone as well. And getting to that start line, I did have a process in my brain. I was like, do you know what? You've come so far, Liz. Like, you can do this. Just enjoy it. And I actually got my PB. I've only just got a PB from my first ever half marathon that I did. So it was a bit crazy, actually. I think I just. Have you ever done Heaton Park before?
I've worked it loads. I haven't run it, no. But I know there's a couple of it's looped obviously, and
Yeah,
there's that it's hillier than you expect, isn't it, as well?
yeah. I was shouting at myself. Honestly, it was the weirdest race, but it was so good. I mean, I've never experienced crowds before, and crowds really do carry you along the way. I mean, the randomers shouting, "Go on, Alysia!" I'm like, "How do you know my name?"
Yeah,
But
yeah,
obviously, it was on
yeah.
my badge. I've just never experienced all these emotions in a race. But yeah, it was a proud moment. Again, I cried at the end because little me, who was struggling to do a 5K, just completed a first ever half marathon. Like, it sometimes it doesn't really filter in my brain how far I've come until I sit back and have a conversation with, say, like yourself, to kind of go, that's a big achievement. So yeah, it was a good feeling.
And there'll be people listening to this now, and they'll be thinking, "Oh, like I'll never get that feeling because I'll never do that." Well, that is the beauty of running, isn't it? If you do
It
keep
is.
doing it, if you do keep consistent, like this can be you,
It
genuinely.
it is achievable. I mean, from someone like me, I mean, I've met a lot of runners that have been running since the age of 5 or 10 or whatever it is. I was a really big girl and I really struggled with my running because of my weight. But over time, I kind of lost that weight, not intentionally. It was just kind of along my path with running. And yeah, it just went from there. So, from anyone that didn't even know about running to now running marathons, it is achievable. You've just kind of got to trust that process that you will get there. It just might take a bit of time.
You mentioned Runner, and I know you used that on the lead up to Valencia. Having
Yeah.
that structure, how did that help?
Yeah, it was brilliant. So I used to use the Nike running app. Now I do really like that app because it has a little podcast along the side, and that's how it taught me how to run. I've never had a coach. I've never really had someone to come out with me to say, do your strides like this, your heart rate needs to be like this. Never done anything like that. I used the Nike running app. That was brilliant. But when Runner was introduced, it had a nice structure to it because it wasn't just like do 5 easy runs a week or do 5 sprints a week. It was so kind of different to anything that I've done before, but it was all structured to what I needed to do to achieve a PB. So Runner basically, before you sign up to it, it'll say what are your goals, what are your average paces, age, whatever it is. And then as soon as you put that in, it will then implement a plan just for yourself. And it does work because I got a PB at the end of it. So all of that time and effort that every morning I was going, oh my God, I've got a 13K to do today, an easy pace. And it all paid off in the end. But that, I think, yeah, Runner did have a massive impact on my performance throughout Valencia for sure.
I'm going to be like the runner questionnaire here at the start of the app.
Okay,
What are
go
your
for it.
goals? Come on, hit me with like the goals for 2024, because I know, having just spoke to you for a little bit, like you will have crossed the line, you'll have had your little cry at Valencia, you'll have been very proud, but you will have got back home and you will have started to think about the next
Oh
thing.
yeah, I've got plans already. There
Yeah,
is
your
so
plans,
many.
the plans
Yeah,
have got plans.
there's too many plans to even process. So yeah, I came back from Valencia and I set myself some goals. I love having something there to achieve. I can't just sit there and go, I'm going to go on a run. I need to have something in mind. So 2024 is going to be a big year for me. I have got a marathon in April, the Manchester Marathon,
Nice.
my debut. So I really do want sub 320 now. I want to lower my times. Eventually I do want to get sub 3, but it's a process
It's a
again. So
journey. It's a
yeah, it
journey.
is a journey. I mean, it's a goal. Manchester is a lot different to Valencia. It's a lot more hillier. So I'm not going to put too much pressure on, but I'm going to train so hard for this. So yeah, that's one of my main goals. I'm doing a lot of traveling next year as well. Um, yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to say some of the stuff that I'm doing, but I've signed up to some really, really cool things that are coming in summertime. So yeah, it'll be really cool to explore that.
Because running is such like a massive part of your life now, and it's a big
Yeah,
part of who you are and kind of what you do. And when people are now getting introduced to you, they're seeing Liz the runner. Who who
yeah.
is who is Liz the person behind the running?
That's a really good question. I've never been asked that before. Do you know what? I don't even know how to answer that one. Behind the runner is a person that doesn't have a massive group of friends. She has a small group of friends that holds close to her heart. She works really hard in a job that she has a lot of passion for, and she has an insight. How can I say this? She just has a heart that wants to help other people because she knows how the younger version of her kind of felt, and she needed someone like me now to help her along the way. So I want to now help other people do that and achieve
You,
their goals.
you said that brilliantly, Liz. That
Maybe
like
that was off.
do you know what I'm going to say to you? That is a difficult question
It
because
is.
it's very hard to answer something like that because you're like, ugh. And that's kind of why I asked it, because it's,
Yeah,
you know, when you have running as a big part of your personality,
yeah,
like it does. And I fall foul to this as well. Like I I I'm constantly like that person that does
yeah,
that thing. And
yeah,
sometimes when somebody says, "Oh, like who is Liz on the runner, not the runner on Liz," if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. Of
it's
course.
like a really hard thing to say, but without who you are behind the running, you wouldn't be where you are in the running. And I think that's like
Yeah,
that's the beauty of that. And from what we've already talked about in this conversation, you can tell like how much you care about people, about
yeah. I
the
do. I
job,
mean,
about
yeah,
like the journey as well from where you've come to where you are now. um and I did want to touch on that, the amazing thing that you're doing now with like the content you put out, your Instagram page and your other socials. Like you're bringing people not only on your journey but inspiring them hopefully to start their journey. How does that feel that you're kind of that person that some people are now looking at to, you know, begin their own journey?
it's quite euphoric in a way. I mean, I get messages all the time saying, Lish, you've just motivated me to go out on a cold run this morning. I really didn't want to do it. Or I've just signed up to my half marathon because of you. All these little messages mean more than I could ever explain. Like to know that people are out there that are going running for themselves, but I've inspired them. Literally, is the best feeling like a girl could ever have. It's kind of like I feel rich in a way, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. It's very hard to explain. I mean, them little messages kind of boost me along and they do motivate me. Even like, I have days where I get up and it's -1 degrees and I'm like, I don't want to run. But if I can run and show people, other people can do it as well. And like I said, people do follow that kind of trend of going out because I've gone out and they go, oh, thank you for that. I feel better. I can start my day properly now. So yeah, it's a euphoric feeling for me that I'm in
Does
this
it
position.
does it feel like motivational as well?
It is, yeah, because I feel kind of I feel accountable now because I could easily sit in bed and do absolutely nothing. But I think, well, other people like, well, I'd be quite jealous if, say, my friend went out and did a 5K run at 6 o'clock and I missed out because I was in bed. So it keeps me motivated. That's really strange. I feel
I
like
know it is.
not many people say that. Like I do get called quite strange and weird because I do them sort of runs, but I get like a bit of a kick out of it as well because I
Yeah,
think, yeah,
yeah.
I am strange and weird, but it's a good strange and weird, and I'm proud of that.
There's
So
nothing
yeah,
better. There's
there
nothing
isn't.
better than like waking up in the morning and it's cold and dark, and then you. I often do it with a friend, and I text him. I say, right, like, do you want to go out in the morning, like before your work? And he'll be like, yeah, yeah. That two things there makes me get up and do it
Yeah,
because I don't want to let my pal down. And also, like, by the time you finish the run, you're like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, and most people are still in bed. This feels good.
yeah. I like it that the world's still sleeping and you're actually doing something for yourself, and it's kind of not the attention side of it going, oh, you're strange, but it's just the amazing feeling that you get that you've got the rest of your day to kind of do whatever you want to do, and you've also done a run that makes you feel really good as well. So it's kind of a win-win in a way. I mean, I've never been a person to like to run after work or go to the gym after work. I'm tired, I'm sluggish, I just want to chill out. So once I've got it done, it's kind of like a checklist of the day that's just completed, and it kind of sets me up ready for the next goal or the next goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good feeling. Um, but yeah, I met a friend actually over Instagram. It was really strange. She's become one of my best friends now, and she's motivated me actually. So she was very quiet, but when I met her, she was incredible. She swims, she does CrossFit, she runs. And then I said, you know what, Scarlett, go and show the world how good you are. She's like, no, no, I can't do that. I was like, Scarlett, go and do it because people are inspired by people like you. And she's done it, and now she's kind of on her fitness journey and doing her thing. And it's just so good to see that there's other people out there that I'm pushing along and wanting them to inspire themselves, inspire others. So yeah, it's a nice feeling. It is a good feeling.
Does it ever become like a lot, like balancing, running, content creation, work,
Yeah.
family, life? Like,
It
is that ever a struggle?
I mean, because running is part of my life for a very long time now, I don't think that's kind of taken over it. I mean, even at work, I do 13-hour shifts and I find time to do my run maybe when I've got my breaks. People are like, why are you going on a run? Why don't you just relax? But if I'm getting up at 6 o'clock to get to work, I know in my brain that I still need to run. So again, I just kind of find the perfect times to do it. Even if I don't want to run at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I know I have to.
Yeah.
So it's kind of finding that balance and also kind of switching off and still having the family time and socializing with your friends. But that's why I do run a lot earlier. So I know it's out the way. I've done my content and I can enjoy the rest of my day then.
That's actually a really nice way of putting it as well. I've never heard anyone put it like that. Running is part of my life. So it's like, sometimes when I ask a question like that, it's like, how do you balance life and running and work? It's like, well, actually, running is actually part of that one thing. So it's kind of, it just always has to happen because it's
It
there for
does.
me.
Like I've said before, I have a lot of like thoughts sometimes, and I'm quite hard on myself. And running for me, like I said, it's part of my life because it helps kind of just settle my thoughts or settle my mood and put me at peace. So why would I ever take that away from myself? Because it's doing something good for me. So I make sure I do include it. I mean, it's good to have a break, but for me, that's just my peace. People find peace in golfing, football, going out to the pub. My peace is running.